Straight from the heart, yeah. We all looking for a connection, something real, something true. In a world full of broken promises, I still believe in you. Every problem, every answer, got a face, got a name.
And we're live. It's Sunday night. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pat Nash Talk, straight talk from the heart. And tonight we have a very, very interesting subject. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but go check it out. No, I'm going to tell you what it is. Tonight we're going to talk about simps and pimps, but even more so, let me tell you first who I had to go and get for this conversation, because I figured my brother could shed some light on this subject too, right? So, oh Lord, let me put these on. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's been one of those days. It's allergy season. But anyway, let me bring him on. I have none other than the Scott, Sloan, joining me tonight. Hey!
What's happening? What's happening?
I had to go on and bring you in because you know me.
Bring me in.
Because I would get going, and yeah, and I need you to weigh in on this subject with me. Yeah, I like the fact that you said, okay, I'm not gonna let you take this on by yourself, because first of all, there's two sides to every story.
Yes, it is.
And we learned a lot. I don't know about anybody else. I'm hoping they go ahead and start showing up so we don't have to start without them. So y'all go grab your friends, text some folks, tell them to get on here and help us out with this subject. I'm trying to make sure I'm on.
Right here, right now.
Check to see. Oh, Tony D is in the house. Tony D, you're going to have to help us out too, because this is, yeah. So I'm going to tell you right now, for me, Scott, I don't know if you heard the term simp. Now, I heard pimp from a long time ago. You know,
it ain't easy.
When I think of the word pimp, I think of I'm going to get you sucker back in the day. The 70s,
oh, my God. Not the glass bottom shoes. No.
The glass bottom shoes.
Yes.
The diamond in the back, sunroof.
That's right. Sunroof top. Digging the sea with the gangster lean. Woo, woo.
That's what I think about when you think about pimps. I mean, you know, back in the day, I don't know why to this day, I don't know why that was glamorized.
Superfly.
Yeah.
Superfly with a pimp. I didn't know. And a drug dealer. I'm like, what?
You know, that's where it came from. You know, you don't want to get me started about the culture and all of that stuff was on purpose, right?
We got 57 minutes to do whatever we need to do.
Guess what? We know a lot of that stuff was incorporated into our culture so that we wouldn't have those quality families that we needed to survive.
Absolutely.
But we're not going to get too over on that area because we need to talk about this term simp that has come about.
Well, before we go to simp, I do want to say thank you for having me back. I had a blast the first time. It was a great time, and I got a lot of positive feedback from it. So hopefully we'll see people pack in and join on tonight. But again, thank you so much for having me back.
Oh, man. I heard a lot of positive things about you coming on and helping me out with this.
Wonderful.
Hey, Mary Goolsby. So people are showing up, and y'all, we're going to need your help on this. Because I'm learning. How about I'm learning? And Scott, thank you for coming back because you ain't scared of the subjects.
I ain't scared.
You be like, hey, and Mrs. Sloan is like, go get him, baby. You could talk about it. So
that's it.
It's on now. It's on.
Yes, it is. So you asked me about a simp. Now, oddly enough, you may or may not remember in the show we did a couple weeks ago when I was telling you that all the things that I did about, I
remember very well. That's why
were you concerned about people calling you a simp? So let's kind of talk about what the perspective of a simp is. And a simp is typically this guy who goes pouring time, love, affection, all these things into chasing after and getting a woman. And more often than not, it is when, Linda talking about got that right. Hey, I see you, sweetness. I see you on the mic.
Is she there?
She's on the chat. Yes, she is.
Yay. Hey,
But here's the thing that is typically known for the men going after those women who ain't interested in them.
That's the kid. Okay, y'all. Thank you. Thank you. This is a learning thing for us because I do understand why it will be looked at negatively. All of the sweet things that you did for Linda and all of the way you put yourself out there. I can understand if she wasn't, as they say, studying you, thinking about you, and you were doing that. But if a woman is interested in you and you're showing her you're interested in them, I call that common sense love, grown folks relationships. That's what
now let me go back in true transparency. Like from kindergarten through third, fourth, fifth grade. Oh, I was a simp, boy. I wrote love letters. I was a poet, didn't even know it, boy.
Hey, Ray.
But what I didn't understand, the girls would go, straight A's and clean cut. We did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then, it's like they weren't interested in Scott GT. Not back in the day.
Wait. I don't think that, well, let me say, because I have young men now, grown folks my age that are saying, look how successful we are. I bet you wish, you had considered me back in the day. And, y'all didn't want the nerds. Y'all didn't want the good guys. Y'all went after the Let me tell you this. Let's say this for the record. Because even now you have grown men using that as an excuse. Good guys finish last, this and that and that. I said it's because you moved too slow. First of all, I was after the men who were after me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're showing me attention. You were too scared. Half the time in your mind, you were like, oh, they're not going to give you time of day. Because you've been shot down before. So you didn't want to be shot down. You got grown men in their 50s, and y'all know who I'm talking about. If you get mad, hey, just say ouch. In their 50s and 60s that were afraid to approach you. And then when they see you're dating someone, they're like, oh, you only like younger guys, or you only like this. I like the ones that are brave. I like the ones that before they come a pimp. I'm going to give you the definition.
Well, yeah. If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about the whole conversation and where this misconception came from about women just liking the bad boys. Help me with that one.
Yeah, and what is bad boy? Because Tony D said that's common sense to him. He's a romantic guy, so he likes to write love letters and write.
I'm looking at what Tony said, But let me take you back in history and music fans. I was telling you and Angee this before the show, and I pulled up the lyrics.
I ain't never heard of it, y'all. Tell them
There's a song from 1974, Smokey Robinson, Virgin Man.
Virgin Man. Anybody out here heard of that song? Give us a one.
All my real music lovers.
A 2 if you've never heard of it. A 1 if you've heard of the song. It's by Smokey Robinson. It's called Virgin Man, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you the list.
Bring up another
song. Virgin Man. Verse 1. When I'm with my friends and the man talk begins, and they brag about all the love they've known, I sit in the corner all alone. Well, now the best thing I can do is listen. The most I've done was kissing. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Lunzy. Lunzy never heard of it either. Hey, Lunzy, I had never heard of it. Angee had never heard of it.
But that was the perspective. Even then, they just didn't use the term simp.
No.
Let me go to verse 2 of the simp anthem. That's what we're going to call Virgin Man, the simp anthem. How come people say a lady virgin, that's okay, but when the conversation turns around, virgin men, they put him down. Yes, people must be funny. He ain't had to taste the honey, ooh wee. So what do you think men are going to do when they hear that perspective and say, well, I want that punk? That back then, that's what we called him. We called him a punk.
Okay, what do you mean she's a side person? You have to
Mary, what is it?
What do you mean?
Oh, she's hilarious.
I was like, a side person. Is that side chick? Is that what?
Is that like, what was that movie? Next Friday?
Hey, Kim.
A girlfriend with
Kim has heard of it. I wish you to ask the question. I don't know if she heard it earlier. Kim has heard of all music out there. She probably would have been able to help me today. I said, there is a song out there saying women can be pimps too. Go on and brush your shoulders off. And I said, that had to be Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, Sweetie's on. Yeah. Todd, text the girls. They're going to help me with this. Text the girls and tell them to jump on.
Babyface, I give good love. Oh my God. That was the new simp anthem.
I'll buy your clothes. I'll cook your dinner as soon as I get home from work. So he is working. He ain't unemployed and cooking dinner and doing clothes. He's doing all the above.
Now, back in the day, that came out early 90s.
People love
that was the new simp anthem. And it's like, Babyface, you're making us look bad, man. We got to do real work.
And go to work. You got to go to work and do that stuff and do the house stuff that the women are supposed to be doing. Don't get me started. Okay.
We now role reversal. That's a whole nother show.
Mary was saying, yeah, people don't listen to the B side of the record. She listened to both sides. Like if
thank you, Mary. Once again, thank you.
Kim says she hated that song, Tony. I'll cook it as soon as I get home from work.
What?
No, I liked it, and I liked T.I. did a song too. You can have whatever you like. You can have whatever you like. I still play that song. I said, I'm waiting for somebody to say that to me.
Here's the thing that I think people need to understand, and men, what a real man is. A real man is not now. So let's go to the simp for a minute, because I do believe simps exist. If you point all this out, and brother, she ain't giving you the time of day, bruh, walk away.
Sister, walk away. That's what I'm saying to you. Women can be simps and pimps too. So let's define that, because we started looking it up. So we all tonight. We kind of know what we're talking about. So look, I'm gonna tell you what I had for a simp. The definition for a simp or a pimp, right? Well, look, maybe you should go first. I'm over here like, okay. So a pimp. Okay, go back to simp because you do
the pimp, and I'm gonna cover the simp. Go ahead and do the pimp.
Okay, the pimp. Wait a minute, I don't know if I like that. We might need to switch that around. No. Okay, so what is a pimp? One good thing about a pimp is a pimp has that energy that says, I know who I am, right?
Okay.
But somehow it just goes a little too far. So now what happens is, because they have that confidence about them, their confidence turns into control when they're in a relationship. They start controlling people, right?
Okay.
Thank you. And then their charm turns into manipulation. So at first you had this confidence and this charm, and of course it attracted the woman to that, or the mate, or the man, or whoever. It attracted the mate to that. But then that turned into control and manipulation. And now you're not loving anybody anymore. You start managing them. That's when you become a pimp. But that's too loud.
So, okay. Here's what I'll say to the pimp part, because there's a certain dynamic of just human nature that people need to understand. Men are hunters, so men don't mind hunting.
Right.
So that shouldn't be a problem, and a woman should want to be pursued. Now, and I had this conversation with my daughter, and let's make it plain. Here it is. I don't have any issue with a woman showing interest, but it's not her job to take it to fruition to wherever we go forward from here. That's not her job. It's not a woman.
So does that make you nervous? Because some men, it makes them nervous. They were saying to women, you have to let us know that you're interested, because let's face it, some of us have that high school dance. Some men have that high school dance trauma where they went to ask somebody, they got their nerve up to go ask a girl to dance. She turned them down and everybody laughed at them. So now they're sitting back waiting. What I'm saying? They're weighing out, do I want to be embarrassed again? And that's taking them into the 50s and 60s and 70s, some of them. They never get over that.
That's called a goofball. Let me tell you why. They should have gone to the Charles Sloan School of get back on your horse. My father had a rule. He said, son, whenever you at a dance, always go up to the finest girl in the room and ask her to dance. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He said two things. Usually, the pretty girls are usually most lonely because everybody think they got a boyfriend.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they're unapproachable.
Here's the deal. If she says yes, boom, you have scored. You are the envy of all your friends.
Big time.
But if she says no, you got turned down by the best. And that was my philosophy.
Oh, dang.
So then I'm going to go to the next.
But, cool.
That
was a good game, Pops.
And guess what? It worked for me. It's like, because Yeah, well, you know that song from NWA back in the day. Say, I used to sit and just wonder how an ugly Negro get a fine girl's number. It's called confidence.
Yes.
Confidence, but men are hundreds.
That is sexy. Confidence is sexy. I don't care what you look like. Now, I'm going to tell you what my mama told me. Betty Jean had her own thing.
Tell me what your mom said.
First of all, she's like, you too grand to ever step to a guy. If he can't step to you, he don't deserve you. Yeah. That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, as far as confidence is concerned, you better believe you are the prettiest thing in the room, because that confidence comes out. And even if you're not, if you feel that way, pretty soon others will see you that way.
I'm looking at Carmen talking about, she talking about that song by Jamie Foxx, Somebody. I can't stand it, but nevertheless.
Oh, she got her own, and Neo Miss Independent. So it's like men want women to be independent or have their own. That's a turn on to them. But then, don't get me started with this. Then it becomes something like a put down, like they're uncomfortable with the overconfidence. So there is a balance, I'm guessing. Even with men, there's a balance in confidence and cockiness. And so what's the term?
So let me help you with that. Let me help you with that. There's a difference, and I had to explain this to many women, between secure and independent. Independent said, I don't need no man.
Right.
Secure means if I have to, I will do it for myself. That's not necessarily my preference, but I can do it if I have to. So please don't step to me like I need you. I'm cool with the self-confidence part, but I don't need no man. I can do this and I buy my own and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And but some men say they want that, but then it doesn't look attractive to them. And she brought up Mary brought up Candy Staten's song.
Young Hearts Run Free. Oh, my bad, that song.
Yeah, that's what she said.
That's the song?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm a music fanatic. I don't necessarily know the lyrics.
In my head, I'm trying to come with the words to it. Golly. Somebody looked it up. I can't hear it. Anyway, Linda said there is a balance in being secure and arrogant. Now, I love that arrogant word, Linda, because I think there's nothing more. Some women think it's sexy for a man to be arrogant. I say confidence is not arrogance, but arrogance can come off like confidence when to me is really insecure. Because if you have to blow yourself, anybody who has a toot their own horn sometimes usually gets it too loud. I'm just saying.
Oh, I never heard that before, but I love it.
Yes.
You know what? I have been accused many a day of being arrogant, but here's the thing.
I was going to speak this out. Like, I wasn't talking about you, Scott. You're my brother. I wasn't talking about you. No.
I didn't say that. But confidence just says, I'm no better than anybody,
right?
But nobody's better than me.
I like that.
And that's what
I'm here, and whatever I am is enough. I think that's the new thing, saying I'm enough. I'm enough for somebody. Where I'm not enough for somebody, for one person, I am enough for somebody else. And it's more important that I be enough for me. Because when you start comparing yourself, that's when you start creating.
I got to make it extra. Like the Bible, Romans 8 says that we are more than conquerors. I'm more than enough.
Yeah, you're more than enough. For you, if you don't feel that way, I think the number one person I still say is nobody's business. It's not your business what nobody thinks of you. Your business is what you think of you. And as long as you are confident, like we said, in who you are and who your creator made you to be and your role in this earth, what everybody else can do, they can kick rocks.
Here's the thing, and here's what makes you confident and go simp free. The Bible says where a man's heart is, there also is his treasure. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing wrong pouring into a woman that you are attracted to.
If your heart is there, that's the key thing. If your heart is there. Now let's flip that on the other side of the women, because a lot of times we wear our heart on our sleeves.
Okay.
We're emotional creatures.
Okay.
And so, like I was telling Todd and I had this conversation today. I have seen more women simps than men simps any old day. I've seen women pour in where it ain't being poured back. I've seen women cry, beg, steal, sacrifice for someone who ain't thinking about them. That's the simp. And so I'm saying it's not a man's role or male or female's role to be a simp. That can come in any sex. It's just somebody who is over giving to someone who's giving them little or nothing.
So let me say this, and I'm glad you made that point, brought that point up,
Yes.
because I think what I'm about to say will apply to either one. When you know who you are, when you know what you have, and to your mom's point about what she shared about you, thinking you are worthy, you are worthwhile, you are more than enough. When you have that confidence, you know, you don't have to go around begging anybody to be with you. You don't have to go around buying anybody to be with you.
Oh my God. But do you know, I mean, I don't know. You're a man, and we made this point too. You have more access to the heart of men because you're a man. But as a woman having access to the heart of women, I look at women and be like, but why do you think you owe them that?
Yeah.
Well, I know right now it's that
but it comes down to knowing who you are.
That hope that just does not have a foundation for it.
Yeah.
I know sooner or later he's going to see that I'm the one for him and he's going to do this. But meanwhile, he's taking the gifts and he's giving you nothing back.
See? And well, but then again, so hear what you just said. See, when a man gets something he didn't have to hunt for, don't be mad when he's not interested in it.
And when he don't see the value in it. Lord, don't let me start quoting my mama stuff. But
my mom tells my daughter tells me like, women are pygmies.
Yeah, like pygmy. I've heard that term too. That women they say women are simps, but they say women are pygmies, men are simps. They kind of say, but it's the same thing, you know, it's the same action that they're doing. And Carmen is saying we need to shine together. I want to be the Beyonce to his Jay-Z. So Beyonce got her own, but you know she acknowledges and she admires her husband.
Yeah.
And then I need that he can get whatever I need and want. But if he's not there, I'm able to still fit my own bill. Why can't we shine together? I'm about making sure I can get what I need, whether my man is acting right or not. And that's true. But Carmen, this is the sad part to me, is that we have to wonder if that's going to happen. Because true story, I've seen women who had all of that and they lost it. And because they did, the man was no longer interested in them. And that's because the prerequisite was them having that. Now, my pastor said to me years ago, if you love somebody, live off of one income. Don't try to live off of two, live off of one income, and usually the man. So if you can't afford what you got, guess what? You do without. But make it not a necessity for your wife to work, but an option. That way, if everything goes to HE double hockey sticks, you have a great cushion there and you're still working together. So, and I've had recent men say that to me. My wife has never had to pay a car note or a insurance bill. She just never has because I could handle it. And I think what that says to a woman is, if I don't have this, I know he got me. Hey, B, there's Brian Sutherland. I know if something happens to me as we get older and I'm not able to do it, I don't have to worry about him leaving me for somebody who can attach to him and be this power couple. The power is in the fact that we have each other's back. Something happens to him, I'm there. Something happens to me, he's there. But you know, the relationships that are built on what you bring to the table and what I bring to the table, if one is not holding up the table, it's gone.
Well, to your point, I was somewhere there a week ago today, and I heard this young lady say, well, I need 2 or 3 more jobs, so I need 6 jobs. I said, you don't need 6 jobs, you just need one good one. He said, well, no, I just want a husband who can do everything for me and this, that, and the other. I said, okay, let that be the case. What do you bring to the table? Huh? I said, well, what are you going to be doing? Now, hear me clearly. All you all who are on the call, my philosophy is harmony over balance. Because when you say, well, you do this and I do this and you do this and I, then, you know, it's keeping score. And what happens the one day you don't do that one thing you're supposed to do? The tables are tilted. But when there's harmony, some days you're going to give a little more than I'm giving and vice versa. but that harmony is sustained. So I said, what are you bringing to the table? Yes, a man wants a woman who has her own, but doesn't want a man doesn't want a woman who thinks, because I have my own, I don't need you. Because men need to be needed. That's just who we are.
They do, but then they can't, Scott, but then they can't be buckling in when you do need them. They can't be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I wasn't, I like it better when you don't need me in this area. You need me under the covers and for some other stuff, but I don't like it when you wait a minute now. I don't like it when you putting that kind of pressure on me. Men need respect. And I think respect comes from a person who can look at you and say, I don't care if we have to eat beans and rice. We ain't gonna go hungry because my man got us. So I think there's a certain amount of respect that comes into the fact that knowing I'm not only not out here by myself, but if worse came to worse and he's able-bodied, I'm gonna be okay.
Well, but so let's talk about that.
Women who believe that, right? So to this day,
now, there's a book I read many, many years ago called His Needs, Her Needs, and it's still a classic. Go read it if you haven't. And tell me this. I'd like to hear your impression before I get into it. What is you counsel women, you counsel people. What is a woman's number one need?
Security.
Boom. Bottom line.
Bottom line. She needs to feel secure.
So to the degree you say, so what happens in that relationship when that man is providing, and let's say something happens, he gets downsized. And, so what happens if his ability or capability to provide is challenged? What happens then?
The same thing that should happen on the other side. You have to know and understand and be secure in your love for this person to know that he's coming back up. And we're going to work this thing out and we're going to figure this thing out. It doesn't mean if you can't do this, it's over. Now, in some cultures, it is. That's still your responsibility. And even the Bible, you understand and know the Bible. The Bible says if a man don't work, he shouldn't eat. So today in Africa, I promise you, is something called chop money, right?
Okay.
So a man's job is to go out and get what is called chop money. The wife stands at the door. If it's agreed upon once a month, she's there like this. Really. And
thank you, Mary.
It's respect for them.
But I understand. I do understand. And I'm not saying for a moment, because I've been there, I lost my job and I still was providing, still doing this and that. But that harmony comes and say, here's the thing. And here's the thing that man needs to know, because in the time when I've been pouring in, when I've been doing all the things that you know me to do, that are my character to do, in the moment I can't do it, woman, you got me.
Yeah, absolutely. She better have if she know what she got, because that's not common.
Yeah,
it is not common. I'm telling you right now. You look at these couples that you call power couples.
Yeah,
I promise you, guys, y'all can get mad if you want. Go prove me wrong. A lot of those relationships, the woman is pulling 60, 70, sometimes 80% of that load.
Yeah,
they both look good doing it, but I'm telling you what is going on, and that is expected. And there is a pressure that comes when she can't. Now, my problem is this. My mama and my sister told me this because I had an older sister and then I had a mother who believed in keeping it real to you. She gave me some very old-fashioned practical stuff. Now, she's a lot more old-fashioned than me. She always thought that a woman that had to work, because that was in her day, was not really that grand, as she say. If you had to work as hard as a man, you ain't that grand. But anyway, that was her mindset, because back then women couldn't get the jobs that they can get now. They were looking for someone to take care of them. So her thing was all in, you better know how to cook. You better know how to make sure your house is clean. Your husband is kept satisfied. Read between the lines. Your husband is taken care of. That way your kids are taken care of. His house is taken care of. What he brings you home, you multiply it. And the same way you looked when he was attracted to you, keep it that way.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God.
She's like, you don't get him and say, I got him now. And you don't have to do those things. Whatever you did, the same thing it took to get him should be the same thing you do to keep him. So don't come in here selling, wolf tickets, telling them, oh, I can do this and I can make you feel this way. And I always look like this and things are always going to be like this. Then you get him and he come in and he don't recognize you. And he's having to come home from work and clean up and do. So she was old fashioned in those kind of things that she taught us. Right.
Yeah.
But if you come back to nowadays, men still want that, except they want you to be INDEPE. You know what I'm saying? It's like they want you to be this independent woman and carry 70 or 80% of the load and start crying if they have to do it and questioning their choice on you. That's
I'm
not
looking for a partner. I'm not looking for a woman to be independent. I'm looking for a woman to be a partner.
Right. But even in partnerships, let's take it practical. Even in partnerships, there is something called an insurance plan, a right of survivorship or whatever. You have something there if one partner is not able to do what they did.
Coman insurance. Yep.
Thank you. And it only says in case something really, that's why I really believe in contracts, y'all. People can say what they want to say. Go on and do a prenup. Go on and do whatever you have to do. Go on and write on the dotted line. I'm going to be with you. If this goes wrong, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Go on and make it legal. If that's what you're going to be. If that's what you're going to base your relationship on, make it legal. But the point is, it makes sense. It makes sense to say, this is what I'm willing to live with, and this is not what I'm willing to live with. So
and that's a conversation. You're 100% correct. I'm gonna tell you I had a lot of good mentors coming up, and rest his soul. My godfather was that guy. My godfather, every time I saw him, he had a beautiful woman on his arm. Boy, I'm like, man, I want to be just like him when I grow up. Well,
you are just like him. You got women.
Thank you.
I've seen her.
I only got one woman.
It's all right. She looked. Linda can put on a wig. She could do. I'm just saying. You got all those beautiful women in one woman.
That's true. But he said this. He said, Scott, remember these 2 rules, and you'll always be set. I'm like, what's that? He said, rule number 2: do everything in your power to make yourself indispensable. Ooh. I said, okay. He says, so whatever it is she feels they need, they feel they need, you provide, and then you provide it to such an exceptional level, that if they have to replace you, then it's going to take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people to do so. He said, I said, well, okay. So max it out, be the best. What's rule number 1? Nobody is indispensable.
That's it. That's it.
But the same thing applies. You've done everything you can to make it hard for you to be replaced. Yeah, so that's all you're doing.
And so the thing is, you may get another one, but they won't be like me.
Hey, that part. But what I want to do, because we talking about the simp end, let's go to the pimp end. People, I ain't scared of the pimp. I'm not scared to talk about the pimp. And you know what? I think the pimp comes in when that guy, again.
You're laughing. You're going to say something that's crazy, right?
I'm trying to be sensitive.
No, I hear it.
And I'm trying to keep it real.
Okay.
But when I look at women who chased after the pimp, it's like, but he treats you this way, he treats you that way. What is it? What attracts you to that man who is emotionally unavailable to you in the first place? No response.
You answer that question. If you answer that question, I'm telling you right now, you'll put me out of business. But as a relationship coach, I'm telling you, no, but honestly, I think it is blind faith. I think a lot of times is daddy issues or mommy issues. The way it's an issue. I know grown women who are trying to recreate what their parents had, but they didn't marry their dad. You know what I'm saying? They had a hard dad. That rhymed. You were trying to recreate what your parents had, but you didn't marry your dad.
But I get it. But
you had a hard-working dad, and you didn't have to worry about food, shelter, clothing, and now you do. But you got a man in the house.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll tell you this. It's interesting, but for many men, I can't speak to women, but me and my brother, we have this saying: we tend to marry our mothers. That's the tendency.
They say that.
there's this characteristic. But when it comes down to it goes back to that Virgin Man story. Nobody wants to be made felt. Nobody wants to be made to feel less about themselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So there's a fine. Hey, I'll take it one step further. I'm an Omega, member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Hey, there's this persona. Are you an Omega man or are you a Q dog? It's like, uh-oh.
What's the difference? Wait a minute. What does that mean?
Well,
a dog, is that a simp or a pimp? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, very few Omega men are going to be called simps. I tell you that. That's all I will say. I'm not calling the bros the pimps, but there's this persona that, and here's the thing, that they manhandle women and they do this and they run through women.
I get it. If you bark like a dog and
they still come after. They still chase after. It's like, what is that about? But the Omega man knows how to treat women, respects them, and makes sure that they are respected. Mm-hmm. To that end, I don't think it's a man's. No pimp has happened. You ain't never seen a old married pimp. Let me say that. You ain't seen an old happily married pimp. Yeah. You may have a lot of women at your disposal, at your beck and call that you can reach out to, call for that booty call, whatever kind of call it is you call it. But at the end of the day, you're still emotionally empty. And I think some men go after that stable of women trying to be like David. Well, he had 700 concubines.
David was wealthy and David took care of them.
Right. And how that work for David?
I say that to all these men that think you need 4 or 5 women, prove that you can care for them, that you can be there for them and their children and all that. No, the truth is, David probably had a lot of virility that is not found in the food or the water these days. Yeah. So all I'm saying is, if those women aren't emotionally, physically satisfied, that ain't how many you need. You probably need one and a toy.
And the other end of the spectrum, and while we're talking about, let's call it the anti-simp, where this guy goes and he finds that woman who, is there for him. And let's say she doesn't think enough about herself. She doesn't care enough about herself. Mm-hmm. And he's with her and he's like, guess what? He may get her and he may enjoy what she fills him with that was lacking or missing.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like, but I didn't have to go for that. I didn't have to earn that. Anything worth having is worth working for. So if I had to put in time, alpha male, well, yeah, that's what's been said, Todd. That is what has been said. We project the persona of the ultimate alpha male. That is true. That is true. But
Tony, you're the only one caught that, what I said. One and a toy. One and a toy. You need 5 women, one and a possible toy or something on the side. But anyway.
You sound like you playing bid whist with women. Yeah, I got one and a possible. But no, at the end, I don't care how many. My wife asked me, were you a player? Let me tell you something. I tried. I tried. I was a horrible player because I was a horrible liar. I was a horrible liar.
I was a horrible player.
And see one of my brother, we used to be each other's alibi. It's like, hey, I wasn't in there. After a while, that stopped working. But I was a horrible liar. Like, Scott, you need to quit the game, brother, because you are losing at it.
You gotta go find this picture I had at one time when I became a relationship coach. I had a quote. It said, "So I hear you're a player. Congratulations, I am the coach." So
I like that.
Tell you what to do, player. Let's get this down. Let me tell you what to do. But the point is this: when we talked about simps and pimps, my heart's desire, and I know yours is the same. I don't think any person was put on this earth to do life alone. I just don't.
Agree.
And I just happen to think and believe there's somebody for everybody. Now it's hard sometimes to find it, or I think we look for the wrong things sometimes.
Looking for nub in all the wrong places. Yeah.
Somebody said we need to practice taking a break. Do we need to take a break? Let me know, producer, if we need to take a break and come back if we have a break, a station break or something we need to do. Because I'm just reading the comments because, Scott and I get going and we will not
got that right.
look left or right. We'll be going. We'll be headed.
Got that
so
right.
You just let me know the thumbs up if we need to take a break. But if not, we are going to say this. In us bringing Simps and Pimp conversation to the table, we basically just wanted to talk about healthy relationships. It's not about going one way or the other. Hey, China.
That's my daughter right there, boy. That's her. She's on the mic.
Hey. I absolutely agree. So there is someone for everyone. I think finding them can be a little difficult. So we're going to take a break. I hear we need to take a break.
Okay.
We'll come right back in a few minutes. Give us a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Pat Nash, and I want to speak to you a little bit about dreams, about hope, about maybe giving up or wondering why you haven't moved forward. Someone asked me, how did you get here to be a relationship coach? It actually came out of a need for myself and what I observed looking around after I asked myself a couple of questions. Why was I not doing the things that I wanted to do? Why had I gone through divorce? I realized I was not the only one. You see, there's a lot of us who stopped hoping, who stopped dreaming, who stopped chasing our dreams or going after our dreams because we don't have to chase anything. When we look internally and figure out what it is that's holding us back, the sky's the limit and you don't have to chase anything. You attract it.
And we're back. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Yeah, so thank you, producer, for telling us to take a break. We have a family of shows at Level Up Nation, and sometimes when we don't take a break, we don't get to see that. So, but thanks, China, for chiming in. So,
well, I told her she's the reason we doing this show, because
that's your daughter, right?
Yeah, and we were talking about these emotional connections and these emotionally detached men. Yes.
So let's talk about the emotionally detached men.
Let's do it. What you got?
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to count on see who's awake out there. The emotionally detached men, they like to blame everything on women. So can you tell me?
I wouldn't know. I hear that.
Was there a point that a man became emotionally detached? Was it from the hurt of a woman?
Can I be honest with you?
Please. That's the only way I know to be.
At a point, and I heard Tony Robbins say this, and I'll take you back real briefly to a set of twins he talks about. Both of them came up under the same abusive, alcoholic dad, and, but one became successful and one became the alcoholic and abusive, just like his dad. It is a decision.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, that didn't work. Next. That didn't work. Next. That didn't work out with her. Okay, guess what? There are 8 billion on the people on the planet. You mean I can't find one for me? Garbage. We blame our prior relationship and take that baggage for us to the next relationship. No, it's a decision.
That is for certain. I had she wasn't a client, but she was a friend of mine. So she wasn't someone I was coaching into a relationship, but I was butting in where that's how I do. And I heard her say to her friend when she finished her divorce, she was never going to be married again.
Yeah.
I'm done with men. I was so miserable in this relationship. When I'm untied from this rascal, I'm not ever getting myself tied up. I said, can I stop you a minute? Why I did a couple of cuss words.
Yeah.
Will you give this man that much power over you?
Sure.
Because he is a jerk or jackass or whatever he was. Right. You're going to tell me because he treated you that way, you're going to close your heart and your life to another guy who would be totally opposite to you?
Yeah.
How did he get that kind of power? Or why
Yeah.
would you give him that kind of power? So to me, that's the same excuse you give when, oh, some woman hurt my feelings and now I'm emotionally unattached to all women.
Yeah.
I think not only you're a coward, there's some other names you could call them, but yeah.
We heard PADs, but I'm gonna stay saved. I'm gonna stay saved.
Yeah, I was gonna say some words, but I'm not gonna say it because it might get bleeped
but
out.
I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair on both sides of the table. For men, for women to blame that next man on all the men, because or vice versa. And let's look at something. And I know, Coach, you telling people this. If you picking all these type of men, there's one
your pickers off. Your pickers off. Yeah. And if everywhere you go there is some trouble, guess what happened? Everywhere you go, there it went. So
until we make a decision that we're going to change our mentality, change our character, because chances are if they don't like you, there's something inside you that you probably don't like about you either.
Yep, you're attracting that. What is causing you to attract that kind of energy and to even entertain it? Because you can attract some stuff and it's easy to say, oh no, I'm not doing that.
Correct.
But that is a self-care to me. You know who you are. I don't have any business even having a conversation with this because it's not last. So
I wholeheartedly agree. So no, I am not one of the belief. I'm not saying it doesn't occur. And hear me, I'm not saying people aren't hurt. What is this? Manipulation of the mind and heart, and especially repetitively, is a powerful thing. Not necessarily sure I understand, but I think if I'm reading what I see Carmen stating, it's self-care. Socrates said that the life unexamined is not worth living. So you have to go back and do that.
Examine yourselves. Yeah.
And my mother used to always say, what contribution did you make to that thing derailing, to you getting off course? What was your contribution?
Yeah.
And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, that's the question that we have to ask. Yeah. What was my participation, and am I willing to change?
Yeah, and what in me, I had to ask this question, what in me allowed that to continue? Because sometimes it starts out and you think to yourself, okay, this was a one-time thing, but then it becomes a second time.
Sure.
And then it's like, okay, what did I do, or what could I have done differently when you are taking on all the responsibility of somebody else's actions? I used to have somebody that used to say, well, you just make me so upset. You just make me, first of all, I can't make myself go work out. So you give me way too much power. So I can't control you. You can't control me. We have enough trouble trying to control our own selves. Stop thinking what you do is going to cause somebody else to act differently.
Agreed.
That doesn't even make sense. So the same way they can't make you act crazy, you have the control to do that, or they just make me not want nobody else. Now, we did say this. Todd and I were talking about this the other day. Who you connect with matters so much in what your quality of life is going to be.
100%.
Choose wisely. I'm telling you. You heard back in the day, the kids would say to each other, you just make me sick. You make me sick. You make me sick. Guess what? Attaching yourself to the wrong person will definitely make you sick.
Oh, absolutely it will.
The stress can kill you. So attach yourself to somebody that you can say, you just make me feel better. You make me well. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to feel something by somebody else's action, make sure it's the good actions that you feel.
I'll tell you this, and I've told Linda this about her and maybe about myself, but it's like, is she perfect? No, but is she perfect for me? Sure.
Yes, she is.
So I'm not looking for that perfect person. I'm just looking for somebody perfect for me. So we're talking about this conversation and how to navigate. How do we get around this? How do we not have to endure or suffer through simps or pimps? And I'll say this. Let me read what Gil is saying.
What are you saying?
Happen while dating, but it's up to you to decide. There you go. Decision. If this is enough for you to move on from or leave, no one can make you act any kind of way. And I'll tell you something.
Amen, sister.
Ooh-wee. When
He
you
said,
are in
"Ooh-wee."
the devil, and I hate to use that word, but the familiarity, the pain, the trauma that you know can sometimes be more or less challenging than the new experience, the new whatevers that you have to get to the other side of what you're dealing with. I get that. But when you make a decision, and some people may think this is crazy, get you a book, write down what it is you are looking for.
Yes.
That's number 2.
And write it, y'all. Don't just have it
Write
in
it down.
here. It's something magical. I'm telling you, there
Write
is
it
something
down.
magical about writing down your boundaries. Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
But what do you think number 1 is? Number 1 is the question you have to ask yourself: am I the person?
So you're absolutely correct.
That warrants, that deserves, that receives that which I'm looking for. And guess what? Even if you're not, that doesn't make you a bad or evil or villainous.
It
that
doesn't.
just means you have some work to do.
Yeah, I mean, it means, okay, I have to sit down and get alone and ask myself some questions. Like, what is it about me? And Linda said something too very powerful. She said, sometimes it's easier to assign blame to somebody than take accountability for your own choices and decisions and actions.
It's true.
Decisions. Who is that said, when a woman's fed up, there ain't nothing you can do about it?
R. Kelly.
Yes.
Prison inmate 6925134.
You had to say that right. Yeah, but when they're fed up, there's nothing you can do about it. And China says, yes, you have had me to do this. Excellent advice. And can I provide what I'm looking for? Yes. So that's good. If you told her to do this, Scott, that's good. Write down what you're looking for. And in what you're requesting, make sure you can give it. Because I promise you, if you're not able to give what you're asking for, you're probably not going to get it.
I'm laughing at the Angee Palace talking about me for misbehaving. Yeah.
You attract who you are. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. We don't, oh God, and it bears repeating because what you said is the power of the universe in your hand.
Yes.
We don't get what we want, we get who we are.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we said the last time that I was on. Identity is everything.
This is part 2, Mary. Mary's pushing for a part 3. She telling me,
thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary.
The thing is, y'all, the really cool part, if I ever really need to take a break, say me and Todd decide to sell off to the sunset for a week or so, and y'all don't see me on a Sunday, it might be Scott holding it down, but we know he can do it. Yes. Mary said he's the real me, ma'am. Look, Wifey's backing him up, said yes.
Well, that's because that text in the mail, baby.
Ow. How you feel about yourself is who you attract and what you tolerate. Oh, okay. I like that. That's a formula. She said, how you feel about yourself equals who you attract and what you tolerate. And actually, Jillian, I have seen that in more than one situation. It's like I'm looking at somebody and I'm like, but you're beautiful. You're smart.
Oh my God.
And then all I can do is go back to what someone said to me years ago. But you're beautiful, you're smart. Why do you tolerate this? Because you've been doing it so long, it's accepted behavior. It becomes a habit, a bad habit.
And let me get scientific for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Because the more you embrace it, Mike Murdoch said years ago, don't complain about that which you tolerate, but you tolerate for so long, it becomes who you are.
Yeah.
It goes down to your cellular structure. That's what's in you to be. You don't know anything.
In your DNA.
And there's a study of epigenetics, historical details.
It's in your DNA. The trauma is in our DNA
it's in your cellular structure so much that people don't understand. Until there was a study done, rats were put through this maze, and once they got to a point, whenever they smell cinnamon, they would zap them. They smell cinnamon, zap, cinnamon, zap. 17 generations later, they measured the biochemical response to rats when they smell cinnamon. and that spiked when they smelled the cinnamon because they thought the zap was coming 17 generations later.
Wow, that's serious, y'all. We got some undoing to do for our kids' sake and our grandkids' sake. We have some undoing trauma to do. And you know, Scott, that happens to be my level of study, changing people's mind, their paradigm, how they think, changing bad habits and changing them to new habits, teaching them how to do that. As it's properly called a transformational architect. Building how you want to transform yourself, actually building that and designing it. It takes work. It's not going to happen just because you said something over and over and over and put a sticky note on your wall and said it over and over and over. That is part of it. I'm not going to say that doesn't work. It is part of the reconditioning, but there's a lot more that needs to take place. And you guys, we had a great talk. Can you believe we've been on for an hour already? We're going to have a part 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Hey, whenever I stand at the ready, Mary, I stand at the ready.
And I appreciate that. So you guys, it is time for us to check out of here so that we can let Scott get back to what he do and I get back to what I do and y'all can get back to what you do. But every single week we're here. Todd said we all need therapy, especially African Americans.
It's not untrue. It's not untrue.
True. And but we're here every Sunday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we have straight talk from the heart. Everything we had here is not rehearsed, you guys. This is real life stuff. And so check in with us. Bring your friends. Let's have the conversation because that's the beginning of healing as well. Scott, you want to say anything before we say?
Well, you know, first to the people who've given me such grace, thank you. I'm glad that you found something valuable. And to you, the host, and to Angee for deciding that this was a conversation valuable of having. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for having me back on. I truly appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted. But let the greater work that we all do be on ourselves. That would be my counsel.
That's good. With that being said, it's a wrap. Thank you for coming in. I wish you love and light, peace and blessings. Mwah! Till next week. See you then.
Hello, everyone. This is Pat Nash of Pat Nash Talks. I'm here every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us right here on Level Up Nation.
We all looking for a connection, something real, something true. In a world full of broken promises, I still believe in you. Every problem, every answer, got a face, got a name.
With the CHH, so tune in to the CHH. Yeah, this is the theme song, not an interlude. CHH with Kim and Birdie, I hope you're in the mood. For a special guest in the interview. Supporting the kingdom and we continue to bring it to you non-stop. Yo, the show's a pop. Sunday night, 7 Central, we all in the spot. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, keep it locked. We live in Lip Nation, we rising to the top. Yo, it's a Holy Ghost party, get your groove on. The KB double player, keep your move on. You can make the convertible if you groove strong. Come on and get your praise on for about an hour long. Shout out to Kim, yo, this is our song. You can check the times on, the show's coming on. Tell your friends to tune in, we won't steer you wrong. CHH with Kim and Birdie, tap in and cheer along. You're now rocking with the CHH, so tune in to the CHH.
Don't touch that dial. Just chill for a while, keep it locked with my man Tony D. Welcome to something new, something you're not used to. It's fresh and guaranteed to bless. New artist profile. Yeah, it's a new day with a new sound. Keep it locked, you're listening to the new artist profile. Thank God for music, new music on the radio.
What's going on, you guys? Adrian Consinary Jr. here, and I'm here to talk to you about a brand new show that we're bringing to Level Up Nation called The Herd. He earns respect daily. This is an all-men's talk show where we'll be making a lot of different topics come to light, and where all excuses will get checked at the door, but also where brotherhood will be pushed. So we'll have a lot of different things. Make sure you guys tune in, join in with the comments, and give us a couple different things. Feed into this conversation. But we're looking forward to talking with you every Sunday. Make sure you tune in with Level Up Nation. I'm Adrian Consinary, one of the co-hosts for The Herd, ready to talk with you.